Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Saturday stream. I'm Josh, and this is our map and image creation stream that I do every Saturday. We go over all of our art-related news as well as do demonstrations and tutorials on how to use Fantasy Grounds Unity, the image and map creation section of that. So thanks everyone for joining me today. I hope everyone's having a great week. I believe that this month we're going to be releasing two other art packs, which will be Medieval Buildings and Castle map pack. So each one of those will be tailored more specifically to one aspect or another. So the Medieval Buildings will be pre-made buildings that you can just kind of plop down. They're exteriors only. There's no interiors for the buildings done in that art pack. But it will make you able to create quickly more populated areas of a battle map kind of scale. So you can do like towns and locations along those lines. You can also use them kind of conglomerately on top of one another to create more complex buildings very quickly. There's also included in that a whole bunch of pre-made maps. And then on the other side of it, the Castle map pack is more specifically tailored to creating all of your own elements. So what you can actually do is create complex structures using the new fill and stroke system, as well as doing like castle interiors as well. So that should be super cool. And they should complement each other quite nicely with all the new features that are kind of coming out. Great. So with Carl on vacation, we don't have a whole lot of updates going on with the actual image creation system. So won't have a whole lot of news on that stuff until he gets back from his vacation. But once we do, I'm sure that we'll be rolling out some really cool new stuff. There are some new features that we've been talking about behind the scenes, so keep tuned and we will keep you informed. Also, if anyone has any suggestions or if there is anything that you would like to see, mainly in the art packs or anything in general, please let us know. We're always very interested in all of your feedback and opinions. All right, so that's pretty much it for all the news that I have for you guys. We'll jump right into this and we'll start to create some stuff today. Do you guys have any suggestions on what we should be making? I'm going to our images here. Oh, we'll just create a new image record and just drag this out, something like this. And we can close down that. We won't need that for the moment here, and we'll just fill up our space here so we have a pretty good work area that we can kind of move around in here. We can jump in here. I'm going to change my grid system here. We're just going to change it to 100 by 100. I'm going to grab my color picker and I'm just going to lower down the opacity. I like to be able to still see the grid. I just don't want it to be too overpowering. And we'll move this over so we can kind of maximize our space here a little bit. So anyone have any suggestions on what we should be building today? Should we do an interior or an exterior location? We've done quite a bit of both here in the last bit of time. I think the last interior location we did this cool tavern, and we set up all of the lighting and whatnot with it. And if we turn off our player vision here, we can kind of see we did this nice little section here, and we created a portal in the basement, and then a little exterior area here with the other end of the portal there to some sort of little pocket dimension. It was super fun. Well, if no one has any suggestions here, we can just kind of jump right into it. Why don't we actually have a look at should we do like a modern location or a medieval one? Let's see here. What haven't we done in a long time? A medieval tower? That sounds fun. Let's do that. We can build this a couple of different ways, especially if we're going to do multiple levels, like an interior of a tower. So, yeah, with different levels. So, what do you guys think? We should do a more modern tower, or should we do a medieval tower? I think the first thing what I'll do is, while we're kind of settling on what we're going to do here, all right, we'll do a nice little medieval tower here. We'll create a little slight environment here really quickly. And I'm just going to grab a fill and I'm going to drop it into my rectangle here. I'm just going to grab this grass texture from the 2019 art package. I'm going to hold down Control, and it's going to allow me to snap right to the grid. And then what we can do is I'm just going to make sure that we keep this fairly accurate to a nice little square here. And this will give you a little bit of a workspace here. And we'll actually create a little bit of the outside environment, and then it'll give us a good little area here. Let's see what Dark Soul says. Particular theme, but what about something with several different elevations? Yeah, we can do that. Why don't we do like a tower up on a hill? Sounds pretty fun. Yeah. Oh yes, that's true. So let's jump right into here. We'll create a nice little area here. We're going to do a pretty good sized tower, but we don't have to worry too much anymore about how much area we can create here, because we can always come back in and increase the amount of land that we need here to build on top of. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to create a new painting layer here. I'm going to move over here. I'm going to turn off this fill. I'm going to turn on my stroke. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to sketch out here really simply my layout, so that I have a pretty good idea. And I'm going to do it on this painting level here. So I'm going to grab a circle, and then with no fill in here, I can just kind of draw out. So let's say we want to make the tower something like this size, and maybe, well, I want to double click this and move this over, maybe just something like here. And we can see here, if we move into this the actual layers tab here, we can see that this is about 11 wide. But so let's make it something like 12, and we can make this 12 as well. So it's a nice circle here. So here we can kind of move this around and see where we're going to be placing it. This is just going to give me a good idea about what I'm actually going to create here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw in a couple of lines here for like the elevation and how we're going to lay it out. This way, what I'm thinking what we'll do is maybe we'll create like a nice little stream, and we'll do like a little cliff face here with a gradient that kind of comes up on this side. We can do like a little waterfall and maybe a pool of water at the bottom. So what I'm thinking is we'll do like a little stream that kind of comes down, something like this, and it's going to end here. And what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of a cliff that kind of comes in from this side, and then we'll do a nice little gradient that kind of comes up, and this will be our way up to our little tower location. And then we'll do like a little pool down here, and maybe another little stream that kind of comes off. Now you can see you can just kind of rough this out so you have a pretty basic kind of understanding of what's going on here. And so from here, I'm just going to go over into my Layers tab, and I'm just going to grab this, and I'm just going to lower down my opacity here so it's just barely visible. So I'll create a new painting layer, and from here, what I'm actually going to do here, I'm just drawing with the mouse. So the question is, are you drawing with a stylus, or I'm just using my mouse? I actually, if I were to be working normally, I do sometimes use my graphics tablet, but everything that I do on stream, I always do with my mouse. I want it to be easily replicatable and without using any sort of special anything. So from here we have the ground, and I'm going to create a new painting layer. I'm going to drop this right underneath this little drawing that we have here. And the first thing that I'm going to start off doing is I'm going to create a divide between my top level and my bottom level. We can do this a couple of different ways here. So I'm going to start off by creating my little cliff face here. Now you can do this multiple different ways, but I'm actually going to type in cliff, and I'm going to type in also brush. And this is going to bring up all of the different ones. We have some jungle ones here. We have some of these ones, which would be like a snowy location. These are ones from the older hand-drawn map packs. So it looks like I should actually come in and do some more cliff stuff. But now I'm going to type in, let's do rock, brush. We have this one. So it looks like that we're going to need to do a little bit of manipulation here. We can do it a bunch of different types of ways here. So I think what we can do is we can either build it out with rocks and whatnot and kind of have it come along here. If we go into the Abyss map pack, and here we have some brushes. Actually not brushes, it's in our decorations. And this is also a nice little cliff orientation here, or image. Let me just type in cliff, see what we got going. I think what we can do is we go into our desert art pack. I think it's the first one here. No, that's decal. We want desert. And there's some actual like these kind of like wall, and I think we'll use these. And I'm just going to switch over and grab my little stamp tool and do something like this. And we'll grab something that's a little bit different here. This is the Desert Map Pack 1, I believe. Desert Map Pack. And there's a second one as well. So if we go, there's Desert Ruins. So we have Desert Map Pack and Desert Ruins Map Pack. And then we're going to create a little I'm going to grab another one of these. This one, I think. Yeah, let's grab this one. And I'm going to use this. I kind of want it to go the other direction here. So I think we're going to grab this guy. And we'll put it like that. So this will be our basis of our cliff. And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to keep this on its own separate layer, and I'm going to call this cliff, because I'm going to be using some of these other rocks. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to be using the adjustments, and I'm going to actually kind of create this. I want to take away some of this reddishness. I want it to be a little bit less intrusive, a little bit more subdued. And so what I can either do is I can come into my art pack here, my layers tab, and I can actually control some of these colors here. I can bring down this red a little bit. And doing this on the actual tab itself, on the layers tab itself, doing it on the entire layer, means that I can continually add on to this. And we're going to bring down some of that blue as well, and the green. I just want it to be a little bit less, not so much. Maybe something like this. So here, when I can switch back over, and if I switch back into my stamp tool here, I can grab some of these rocks and I can start to create little elements around and whatnot. And if I do that, like this for example, if I were to paint this in, it's going to be adjusted to the way that the tab itself has already been changed, the layer itself. And that's why I'm going to keep this all on one particular tab. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of a fade kind of coming up onto this and kind of bring this out. But as I said, we can kind of create some other little elements here. And as we stamp these in, you can see this is going to make adjustments completely for us here. Because we're going to want to actually create this, make this feel like it's a little bit more of a decline. This is going to be an incline here, but we want the cliff to kind of decline down towards the side here. So I'm going to grab some more of these kind of elements here. And I'm just going to layer these up a little bit. And get that kind of feeling that we have these higher kind of elements over here. And this is going to really help sell. As you can see here, we have this higher element. And when we do our shadows and whatnot, it'll drastically kind of change how that is. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to fade some more grass or gravel or whatever we decide to do up into that. So we can do this a couple of different ways. What I can actually do is go back onto my ground and switch back over. We'll just go here, we'll turn off the stroke, and we'll go back to our image. And this is all still set up for us. And so I'm going to go another layer up, and we're going to drop this down on top of our cliff. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw out a little bit of a fade here. And we can do one here as well. And we can still manipulate this after the fact, you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click this and I'm going to simplify that. We don't need it to be so complex. And I'm going to do the same down here. And now what I can do is I can go over to my edit here and I can hold down F and I can fade that out. I'm going to do the same down here. And now what I can do is move this around and get this to a better kind of location. We can even erase some of the section over here when it comes time to do the water as it kind of cuts down through here. We may or may not need to do that, but that's an option for us as we kind of progress here, and I can kind of bring this in. And I'm just going to kind of mess around with this and get this into a pretty good spot of how I want it to kind of fade out some of these elements. And I can move down. I think I'll actually move this one in something like this. And what I can actually do is I can switch back over into this area. We're going to switch over to the add function. And where we have this all set up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little picker, and that's going to set up all my fade elements just the way that I want. And now I can add to this section here. And that's going to join those together. Well, usually it does. And I'm just going to kind of, we'll bring this one back over there. We'll bring this one up. And then I think what it will do is we'll actually stamp in some kind of elements. I think what we want to do is kind of bring that right all the way down, something like this. Oh, we got a question from Svenster. That's a good question. I don't know if there is a LOS simplify or not. Yeah, simplify selected occluders. So there is indeed. Perfect. And we can turn this back on. You can see we have a nice little kind of layout here of these elements and the way that they're going to kind of produce. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'll create a new painting layer. And this is going to be our water. And I'm actually going to call this one water upper, because we're going to need one for the lower as well. And we can type in river brush, which we're going to have a whole bunch of different ones. I think what we'll actually use, though, I mean, we could definitely use like this classic kind of river brush. And if we go to, let's actually type in, yeah, I think what we'll actually do is just probably use something like this. And kind of just rough it out here. Oh yeah, well, and so here's the comment from Bruno is looking at the wonderful creation of the maps using the tools of the FGU. Can't stop thinking about the possibility of tokens being able to be on different layers. And so currently the way the system is set up is that there is a unaccessible top layer, which is where all of the token action kind of happens. But who knows what might happen in the future. So I'm thinking we could either maybe do something like this or have like a little bit of a rocky edge there. Or maybe we'll just do something like this and build our own edge. Well, let's try it with this one first. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here, turn off our fill, And we're going to put this right in here. This is going to be our image here. And what we can do here to make this blend in a little bit more is I'm actually going to add a fade to this. And so let's do like a fade of 2. And what that's going to do is, and I'll show you here, I'm just going to kind of stamp this out. Not stamp it, but drag this out. It's going to create, and that should, hold on, let's do that. We need to come in here and make sure that we have an end cap selected so that we get just the line itself. You can see that this is going to make us a nice little fade here. And then we can kind of do what we want to with the water on the inside. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And then I can come over in here, and if anywhere where it's like this, it's a little bit wonky, I'm just going to line this up a little bit better. And I can make all the adjustments that I want to here. And again, we can turn this layer off so we get a little bit better. And you can see we have a pretty good representation here of our little stream that's going on. And then we can kind of create our little waterfall underneath here. I'm going to keep this pretty straightforward for the moment here, and we want to make sure that we have a pretty easy kind of access here. So I'm going to probably back this off a little bit, and we're going to build some more rocks kind of from this in here, maybe even do some in the actual water itself. Well, you know, many of your wishes could be right around the corner, Bruno. Absolutely, and I agree. I think that the immersion factor is pretty great there. So I'm going to go back down, and then we're going to create a new painting layer, and I'm going to drop this below the cliff, and then we're going to call this one Water Lower. And I can grab the same kind of brush that I have going on here, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to actually grab the ellipse tool, and I'm just going to draw out a nice little circle, and that's going the wrong direction. This time I'm actually going to put in a fill too. Let's go into the coastal art package here. And we'll go to their background, and we'll just drop that right in there. And we want this to go the other direction here. And then I'm going to just grab a rectangle, and I'm going to drag out. Oop, we want to not do that. We want to add to it. And I'm just going to do a couple of sections like that so we have some occluder points, and I'm just going to change this here a little bit. And we'll do something like this. Let's close up that little gap in there pretty simply. Okay, so the question is there any way to edit the settings for a brush segment after you've drawn it, like change the texture or the size? So the stroke, there is not. So if you go into the actual options of the stroke itself, there's no way to change that after you've put it down. But the fill there is. You can't change the texture. Well, I mean, you could change them if you went into the XML file. That's true, but from the traditional UI standpoint, there isn't. But we have an edit fill, and so if I were to come down here, for example, I can move this around. I can change its size too. So if I hold down Shift, I can change the rotation of that fill inside of there. Control, I can change the size of it. So the fill you can. The actual stroke itself, you cannot. But what you can do is you can come in and re-manipulate the elements after the fact. So we can change all of their positions and whatnot. So now we can go into our upper area over here, and we can start to do our little waterfall here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab this fill. I'm going to turn off my my stroke, and I'm just going to be doing it with the fill element here. We can do it with our line tool, and this way what I can actually do is kind of create the water element itself. I actually don't want to have any I want to have very little kind of fade on that. Let's actually simplify this. And then we're going to create our nice little splashes and whatnot. And what I'll do is come into here, and we can just lower down the alpha here a little bit, because we're going to be doing a little bit more with our stamp tool here in a second. And I can come back in and with maybe my rectangle or even the ellipse, I'm just going to grab this so I get the exact same kind of elements here, and we can kind of just maybe connect a couple little sections down here into it as well. So we get this nice kind of blend in with what we're doing here. In here we have a nice little splash thing that we can actually start to use, and so we'll just grab that and drop this in here. That's something that we've actually talked about, Warren. So the comment is, or the question is there any plans to allow you to export an image so that it can be used as an asset in another image? So that is something that we have definitely talked about. And I'm actually going to turn off my aspect lock ratio, and we're going to bring this down, squash it a little bit. And I'm going to hold down A and use my mouse wheel, and I'm going to get it quite quite opaque here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a little edge here. And let's make this actually very narrow, a little bit longer. Not quite that long, I guess. So you can see we get this nice little highlight along this edge as it goes over. Yeah, I am actually. Fantasy Grounds Academy. I am. I'm going to add some more rocks up through here. We're going to build this up a little bit. You're absolutely right. And now I'm just going to create some little splashes down here at the bottom. We'll lower down our opacity. Bring this out. And then I'm going to lower down my opacity quite a bit. And we'll just kind of create a little bit more turbulence coming out from the edge here. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to actually do some darker ones as well, create a little bit of shadows. We'll do all this stuff first, and then we can even kind of create some foam along these edges to make it feel like that this water is very turbulent. Lots going on. If we go back into here where we have this already set up, I'm actually going to kind of cover this up too, I think. So we can go to our lower water here, and I'm just going to grab out a little bit of a rectangle here. And we can kind of add some elements here. And we can just kind of line this back up here, maybe. And maybe we'll fix this little, these kind of little elements as well. Perfect. There aren't, but that is a good idea. So what I'm actually going to do is we can go into our little cliff element over here. You can see we have our color picker. I'm going to grab the hexadecimal code from it. So I can go into a upper painting layer here. What do we have? This is our fade area. But I'm actually going to do it on the water level there. And I can go back into the same desert. And I'll grab some of these rocks. And we'll do something maybe like this one. And here I will just hit Control V. And this is going to help us kind of sell all of this. I think we'll even go down onto this layer and we'll do some more rock kind of sticking out from underneath. And we might even put some like in there. There's no real way to blur anything at the moment. You can use, you can kind of blur things with some of the effects layers. We'll maybe do this. We'll bring it over a little bit. But there may be effects layers in the future that will allow us to blur things out a little bit more. A traditional kind of blur. Great. So we have a pretty good base now, so we can start to build our tower out. You see, we have a pretty good replica of what we're going to kind of do there. So we can kind of delete our little sketch. Once we add in all of our plants and shadows and dirt patches and whatnot, this will really start to come to the forefront, I think. And we can actually add in some additional kind of rocks along this way and make it seem a little bit more natural as the way all of this kind of interacts. So we'll create a new painting layer. We'll call this Tower 1, and this will be our base from which we're going to kind of build the rest of our tower from. And one of the things that we'll be able to do is add in, like I said, foliage and whatnot, and we'll create a path that's kind of coming up from around this way and do all kinds of stuff. Oh yes, yep. Yeah, blurring can be a really effective tool for doing that. What I'd like to do inside of Fantasy Grounds currently is I do the same sort of thing, but I do it with color shifts, and I also do it with like the darkness of my values. So one of the things that happens naturally is that things shift to the blue as they move farther away, and they have less contrast. So your lights and darks get closer towards the middle. Things that are closer to you will have much higher contrast. So if we were to do this, for example, we want to try to make this feel as though that's further away, we can do a color adjustment to shift this to a little bit to the blue, and we can also take away some of the contrast of this and make this more contrasty up here. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off with our first floor. We'll have that stone floor, and then we'll do like wooden floors for each one after that. So we'll do something maybe like this, or maybe we'll do. Yeah, I think what we'll do is, well, we can do. Let's do something with a little bit more contrasty. Yeah, let's go with a little bit lighter. I think if we go into our maybe we'll grab something like this. We'll see how this works, and then we'll do like I'm thinking maybe something along these lines. Yeah, let's use like this. And what we can actually do is in our tower layer here, we'll make this a little bit smaller. We'll make sure our fade is set to 0 on all of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, and that's going to make sure that I do a perfect kind of circle here. I can switch over to this now, and I can make this exactly 12 by 12. Well, no, that didn't work out quite right. Well, I guess we'll guesstimate that. And I can switch back into my fill adjustment here. We'll make that a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll rotate it here a little bit. And I think I'll make it a little bit darker. Maybe we'll go with a little bit different of a floor here. That doesn't seem to match up quite right. I guess we'll go with the traditional kind of dungeony floor. Yeah, I think that'll work better. So here's the way that Fantasy Grounds works is that if we were to change the colors of this, if I were to switch over, it only adds to the color, right? I can't make it lighter in color than it actually is. But one of the cool things that we have now is this new feature where I can create an effects layer and mask it directly to this fill. So if I do this, I can also switch to a adjust colors, and here I can make it brighter. I think we'll make it a little bit there. Nice. So this will be the base of our tower. And before I go on too much with the actual tower itself, I think we'll kind of just do a little bit more for the surrounding area now that we have everything kind of placed. And then we'll do this until we take a short break. And then when we come back, we'll finish the tower. We'll do that for the rest of the time. So what we can do now is kind of come in here, and I think what we'll start off with be some ground textures. Go back down to the ground here, and what I'm going to do is we can do this a few different ways here, but I'm just going to kind of stamp some of this stuff out. I think we'll create some nice textured kind of areas. So I'm going to go in the 2019 art package, and in our decorations we have a whole bunch of different stuff here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these other like grass textures. We'll switch back into our painting mode here, and we're going to stamp. And see, we're just going to do this. We're going to do it on this layer because I want to kind of break up some of this stuff here. Oh, that's interesting. That kind of changed that down there. When I stamped, I'll have to remember that. We'll take care of that at the end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower down the opacity and kind of blend this out. This is going to give me a little bit of a variation not only in texture, but also in the edge of the water here. And I don't have to worry about going over anything that is on a higher level. But I do want to be a little bit conscientious of these things that are on the same level here. Maybe do a little bit here, or we can also do some that is not grass. We're just going to do a little bit of the grassy stuff. We'll do some dirt kind of stuff as well. I'm going to do some up here, all in the same layer, and then we can go to higher up layers and kind of do some overlay as well. And I'll grab some of these other textures as well. You can see this is just like a mass of like sticks and things. And again, I'm going to lower down the opacity quite a bit. Just create a little bit of variety. You can see this is going to poke out from underneath some of this other stuff. I think we'll grab this one. And I think we'll do a little bit of this as well, and we'll create like a little bit of a worn path. I wonder if we have, yeah, we do. Let's go into our brushes actually first, and we'll grab a nice little, we'll turn off that fill, and we'll switch this over. And I'm just going to drop down, or maybe we'll use this one. No, we'll use this one. And we'll drop down the opacity here. We're going to have to do it on a higher level here. Let's do it on this level, I think. This will be our entrance up here. And grab some of this grass a little bit too, and I'm going to go back onto here and just kind of play with this back and forth a little bit. Create some cool kind of interactions here. Make things feel a little bit more natural. Awesome. And I'll grab some of these like little ground plants. We'll make these a little bit smaller, and again I'm going to lower down the opacity. We'll create some of these little groupings around the water's edge here. Just coming out from underneath the cliff a little here, and maybe some on this side. I even want to put some yeah, and we can grab We'll do a little bit of extra stuff along here. And we'll type in bush. What we'll do is we'll just kind of build up some layers here of plant life. I always like this idea of the plants kind of growing out from underneath the building itself. I think in the abandoned places, yeah, there's some good ones in here for some great contrast. And there's this one in particular. I really like this one with a little bit of roots and whatnot coming out. Yeah, it's very cool. And the great thing about, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's put that back where it was. The great thing about having the different layers is we can kind of put things underneath as well. Very cool. And we can create a new layer for our trees. We'll just type in tree. This might take a moment. And I think what I'll actually do is make some of these little color variations. So if you guys are unfamiliar, you can hold down R, G, or B and interact with the mouse wheel, and it will change the colors of the image that you have loaded. Now these are going to look a little bit overdone here for a moment until we do our shadows and separate this stuff a little bit more. We'll do a nice big tree over on this right here. And then we can do a lower one as well. We can just do it on this layer. We'll do some trees down bottom here. Maybe one that kind of, we'll keep that kind of open. I think that'll be pretty good for our, and so let's, before we take a break, why don't we do all of our shadow content so we can start to separate some of this stuff. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create two effects layers. One, I'm going to do it down below the cliff. And they're both going to be adjust colors. I'm just going to lower that down a little bit. And we'll create a mask there. And so from here, what I'm actually going to do is, this is not going to affect any of those things above, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of a gradient that kind of comes out from underneath here. So I'm just going to hold down Alt. And we'll do some on this side as well. This is just going to be a little bit of an extra, and we can blur that out. And that might be a little bit too much, so why don't we make that something more like 47? Because it's going to add on to the one that we're going to create next. This one will be above everything. We'll put it below our tower though. And let's drop this down to like 45, and we'll enable a mask. And then we can start to draw out our shadows here. We'll blur those out a bit. And we can create one for our cliff here. And we can do some for these little bushes. And we'll want to do a nice big one from this tower, depending on how big our tower is. And I'll actually come back in, and we might even want to do a little bit like along the edges of our elements here. Got a little stone down here. But you can see how this is going to start to give us that depth. A little bit of shadow creation really goes a long way. And if we switch back over, and let's go into our, we'll grab this little gradient here, and I'm going to make this black, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of blue in it, and then we'll drop down our opacity there. And we're going to create a couple of shadow layers. So we're going to drop one. Let's do it maybe here. And we can do some kind of coming out from underneath this stuff. These ones might be a little bit too dark over here. Let's lower down that opacity just a little bit more. This will be good for doing like some of these bigger areas too. And kind of get that feeling that this is a little bit more. And then we'll create one more. Again, we'll put it down underneath. We'll do it underneath here. I don't know what just happened there. And we should do one underneath these trees as well, actually. You might want to grab some of these and move them back here. Those might actually be a little bit too much. And then from here, I'm going to do a little bit more like right here. Make it feel like there's that shadow being cast from this really tall kind of cliff here. And then same on this cliff side over here. And then along here. We have a question here. I have a map that I add the night effect with the effects time of day. How can I make a token with a torchlight reveal the map without the night effect? So the effects themselves, what you would want to do is instead of using the effects layer, you want to actually use the lighting system. So you can set up your global illumination, and that will alleviate your problem. So if you go into lighting, if you go over here, there's ambient lighting. And here you can actually set up a preset for moonlight, dusk, so on. Make your whole scene lit up as though it was nighttime, and then it'll be fine. Don't do it with the effects layer. Yeah, you're very welcome. Oh, yeah. Great. I think we're ready to start our tower. So I'm going to take a short break. Um, Oh, you can almost hear the water. Well, we still got to add some effects in there, I think. But yeah, it's getting there, isn't it? We got to make this feel like it's a little bit more splashy, and some of the shadows in here are a little bit wonky, but we'll get it all squared away. But we got our scene pretty well set. We got our base of our tower here. We're going to start to build this when I get back. So I'm just going to take a short break. So if everyone wants to hang out just for a few minutes, I will be right back. All right, and we're back. Thanks everyone for hanging out. And we're going to continue on here and finish up this tower. We're going to do a few different layers of it, different levels. We can do it a couple of different ways as well. And I'm going to show you guys the different ways you can kind of do this. And I'll kind of lay these out as in different layers. And you can kind of stack them or move them to the side, whatever works best for you. So the first thing, what we're going to talk about is what kind of tower is this? What's on the inside? What's the whole shtick thing here that we have going on? I think what I'm going to do is go into my tower. I'm just going to rotate this a little bit. I'm going to orient it towards the door. So we're going to do a door like right in here. Yeah, you can certainly do that, Drake. And we'll kind of discuss different options for you guys today on how to set that stuff up. It's a watchtower. So is it occupied? Who lives in this tower? Or is it abandoned? How many floors does it have? How tall is it? So the LOS will not. Okay, so and this is one of the things that should be kind of clear to people as we kind of progress here. 3 levels is enough. Is that we can do it a couple of different ways. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to grab my tower layer here, and I'm just going to duplicate it. And we're going to move it over to the side. We'll just go into a tab. So here I have another one, and we could duplicate again, and we could have another one. So we could generate, and this is kind of how we can do it. You can lay out your tower like this, for example. And as people go through, you can just move your players from one section to the next. And this will maintain all of the line of sight, right? And what I would normally do is just move these outside of any. I would have this closed off so that there's no line of sight towards these towers or anything like that. But if we stack them, right? If we go into here and we have all of the different layers kind of stacked up here, then the line of sight will not transfer from one layer to the next, even if we hide them. Even though it will hide the line of sight, it has to do with the way that the token remembers what has been seen before. So you want to be a little bit careful with how you kind of set those up. Oh, it's 17 stories tall. We probably won't be able to get 17 stories done. No, that's always been the case. You can, if there is a line of sight. So if we were to create here, I can kind of show you. Let's create our line of sight for this. We can go into our boom, and if we were to put that into a folder together, right? So here we have this folder, and if we go in here, we can move this around, and you can see it's all attached to this layer here. If we turn this off, you can see that it also turns off the line of sight. Correct. So right. So if you do it in separate, if you do it in, if you lay it out this way, I think I have an old map that I had drawn It's kind of like that. So if we go, I think it's in the coastal map pack, coastlines. So here we have a lighthouse. And if we were to create an image record of this, you can see it's already got the line of sight attached to it. And this area, which you could see out from, it's blocked off from the other areas. So if I were to grab in the combat tracker, if we grab our little buddy Bob in here, which Bob seems really small, but as he progresses here, and if we were to turn on our player view, we want to make sure that that's shut. So as he progresses through here, can't see what's on the next layer. But if you were to come up into this area here, and I were to do it from the GM's perspective, all I would do is grab him. Holding Shift means that he's not going to see anything that I drag him through. And we could place him right onto the next map here. And here you can see moving all the way through the layers this way. Yeah, you can totally do that. But you're absolutely right. You could have a player here and a player here, and they would not be able to see what each other sees. Yeah. So let's delete this, and we're going to delete that one. And we're going to start creating our little area down here. So what do you think the first floor is going to be like in our tower? What kind of elements? Do you think the stairway is going to go up in the middle, or do you think it's going to be along the outside? Do you think, what kind of, will there be separate rooms, or is it one large open area? What kind of environment do you think that our tower is going to be there? So what I'm going to actually do is, while we're kind of thinking about this on our tower layer here, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you want to have like an actual representation of where the door is, here, let me turn this off. And what I'm actually going to do is just grab this, but then I'm going to turn off the stroke. So I have the same kind of fill element. Oh, a huge dumbwaiter, yeah. So if you want to actually create like a little section down here, without a wall, you just have to grab the floor element. And we might want to switch back over here and just line it up with, let's see here. so it matches right in. And we could even, we don't want to color fill. We want it to be close to black. And I'm just going to draw a little. Oh, that's interesting. Pushed it to the back of it. We'll have to do that again. Oh yeah, we can do some battlements. We have lots of siege weapons we can put in here and whatnot. And I'll create a new layer here. We can actually start to create some folders here. We'll put all of this stuff in here. We can call this Tower Floor 1. And on this layer, we can grab a door, maybe. That's not the door. That's just the where the wall is broken. We're going to build our door right now. I'm going to do our door. So we can go into our assets. I'm actually going to kind of create a little like door jamb. So I'm going to do a little bit of a wood fill here, maybe something like this. Or maybe we'll use this. Because I want it to be a little bit curved here. So what I'm actually going to do is we'll do a couple of, and we'll have to turn the little jamb here a little bit. I'm just going to rotate it. And we'll probably make it a little bit smaller too. We'll build a nice little door jamb here. let's look up door. See how many doors we have. Can you use a car door? No. I think I like that one. Let's do that one. Yeah, maybe something like this. Oops, I didn't mean to stamp it. See if we can turn it here a little bit. We don't want it to be quite that much. So maybe like yeah, that'll be a nice little entrance area. Oh, thanks so much, Nebula. All right, so we have our entrance to our tower. And so what do you guys think? Do you think this is going to be like a big open area? We'll just do like stairs, maybe do like a storage area down here. We could do like crates and barrels and sacks and whatnot. Or do you think that this would be like maybe a reception hall? We could do like rugs and tables, maybe a big hearth. Storage area. We'll do a rug on the way in though. And then we can type in barrel. We'll grab some different barrels. do some crates. Oh yeah, we could do. I would do a well outside, don't you think? Like maybe, or if they have a stream. You think that they would have a well if they have a stream? Could be. Let's do more like traditional crates. And sacks, we're gonna do like sack, right? And what we'll do is we'll do the stairs leading up around this side here. So maybe we'll do like stuff underneath the stairs as well. And what I'll actually do is I'm going to do some a little bit of a color variation on the floor. And so I'm going to go into the winter art pack. And in the effects, I'm going to grab some of these like snowy kind of elements. I think I'm just going to use something that's a texture like this. And we'll create another painting layer. We'll just drop it down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's see, we'll make it a little bit like this. Actually, maybe we'll make it a little bit more green. And drop down the opacity. Perhaps there's mold on the floor. We'll do a little bit of red mixed in with that. I think we'll move that over here. This just helps break up, create a little bit more variety. And maybe we'll do like A hanging lantern on the wall. Maybe we should do some on the outside. Definitely put one on this crate. And then what I'll do is I'll actually grab yeah, we can definitely build a dumbwaiter. That sounds fun. Hey, Jiminy. Nice. I think what I'll do too is we'll go into this layer and I'm going to actually um, just use the color stroke here. Make it nice and big. And we'll add a little bit of blue to it. And let's make this size. Oh, I'm not sure why that says only size 0.7, but I guess that is 1. Well, I guess I should lower down that opacity here a little bit. Oh yeah, wine barrel sounds good. Maybe some kegs. Do a little bit of a shadow right along the edge there. I feel like there should be some stuff kind of like just scattered about here too. Well, let's see what we got here for stairs. Could do stone ones. Probably wood though makes more sense. There. Nope, that's not gonna work. I'm surprised I don't have a wooden one besides these ones. I wonder if this one will work. If not, I'll have to definitely put that in there. I'm gonna have to work on those. We'll figure something out for that. We'll have to do we'll have to do something that's gonna work. Maybe we'll do it with like platforms. Yeah, so what I can do is do a series like this. And then create Oh, does it, Nebula? Let's see. Oh yeah, these kind of like rough ones. Let's do one. I think I'm going to do a fill. And then I can just kind of make it to whatever shape that I want to. And match the color up somewhat. Like this one. Let's do floor. Let's grab that one. And then I can change the colors to maybe something like this. Maybe we can get rid of that one and just have this go up into the next area. We can just rotate this to be a little bit more appropriate to a reasonable facsimile. We can kind of do the rest of it with shadows, I think. Maybe what we can do is like a railing, like a wood railing along it. Yeah, we'll do something like this maybe, or like this. Oh, interesting. We're getting there. We're getting there. Closer and closer to the dumbwaiter. We can come down onto this layer. Yeah, I think so too. It's a really great time saver. For the adjustments. Because what I can do now is all the items that we have kind of hidden here, I can just kind of bring them out a little bit. Like this. Yeah. 17 levels. Here we go. And one of the things I like to do as well is kind of darken in these areas. Give you that feeling that kind of goes up into the unknown. So we can go into our medieval machines though. We can start to create our dumbwaiter. And we'll build that like over in this corner. We have all kinds of cool stuff that we can kind of build with it here. I think we'll use this. I think what we'll do is we'll make it no, let's make it like that, wider. And then we'll build like a little thing on top. Well, let's put it like right here. Actually, yeah, let's put that. Do we want it on that level? No. We want it to be on this level. And then on this level, we can build a little platform underneath it. Let's do let's do this here. This will be the actually let's replace that with Let's get a rope brush. I think we'll go down. And we should come onto this level. And what I'll do is I'm just going to grab we'll just darken that in. Yeah, that's our dumbwaiter. Very cool. All right, so what I'm actually going to do is I'll go down to this little layer here. We'll go back into here, and we grab the sample settings. And we can just grab this same exact thing, and it's going to set up with the fill that we had before. But what we're actually going to do is going to change that fill. So now we can go to wood floor, or we can do a wood fill. And then depending on what we want to use for our floor, we're just going to replace the fill. Maybe we'll do something like this. Just change the color a little bit, or maybe we'll do this one. That's what we used for there. And so what I'm going to do is I'll use this painting layer that should be empty. I'll just, yep, it's totally empty. So we can use this for the next thing. And what I'll do is I'm going to try and match it up to about the same size. So what I'm going to do is go right to the middle. I'm going to hold down Control and Shift. Alt and Shift. And that's going to allow me to drag this out from the center in a perfect circle. We're going to get that pretty close there. And then what I can do is, yep, that's just about right. So from here I can just either build right on top, but I can just drag it out to the side as well. And what I'll do is I'm going to build out where this is going to connect. So a really good way to do this is if we want to keep this here, we can come into here and we can just lower down the opacity of this. And then we can kind of see what we have here underneath. And again, we can match this up pretty good here. You can see we're just about the same size, close enough. And so I can actually begin to build out. If I want to do this in two separate layers as well, I can just erase out that floor as well. So that's always another option that you can do, which is pretty easy to do as well. Now, why don't we actually do that? Let me demonstrate that. So what I'll do is I'll delete that layer. We'll create a new layer. I'm going to come over here. All I have to do is turn off my stroke, and then I can do this exactly the same way. I'm just going to drag out. I don't want that. I want to have the circle. I'll drag out a circle that is my floor here, and see it's about the same size. And we can just move that over. And then I'll create another layer for, or add on top of it, the strokes separately, so that I can interact with these. And what I'll do is I'll just lower down my opacity. And then I can either go to the subtraction mode and just subtract out where this is going to be coming up from. Well, we'll go a little bit beyond so that we can do this. And that's a little bit more than I want. We want to simplify that as well. So I can just move these to the appropriate section there. We'll adjust these here a little bit. And you can see I could do exactly the same thing here. We could, I can even erase this. You can see that this clean this up a little. And now we can put that back to where it was. Now if we wanted to, we can come back in here, we can turn off our fill and turn the stroke back on. Make sure that we can either do it, we can do it with a line too. We can just go around and we can actually go to those the same points. Or we can create an ellipse and do it the same way. Oh, we don't want to do it on erase. I want to make sure that we do a new overlap. Because this is all on one layer here, we can move this out of the way now. And if this is a little bit off here, all we have to do is to come back into our, we can just move this out. And now we have our replica. So for the second floor, we know where our stairs are kind of coming up through. And I would do exactly the same thing, create a new folder. This folder is going to be Tower Floor 2. And then we can add additional kind of layers that we want to do here. So if we wanted to come back, let's say for example, no, we don't want that. And then we can create a new painting layer. Drop this right in underneath. That's weird. Isn't it? How strange is that? What if we drop it all the way out here? Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see if that fixes it. Nope. That's strange. That's a bug there. Because all of the occluders are on this layer. Yeah, go ahead. Ask away. See if we take them out of the folder. Very strange. So if I'm using a stamped image, for example, I can use Control and mouse wheel to change its size, and Shift and mouse wheel to change its orientation. Alt will snap to the grid. You can also hold down R, G, or B, or any combination of those to change the colors. And you can hold down A to change the alpha with the mouse wheel. Yeah, you're very welcome. So odd. So what do you guys think would be on the second floor? A kitchen. Kitchen dining area. I think we can go here too and grab this again. We can do it all with 17 floors, yeah. I'm thinking maybe we'll do it over here. we're going to need a little bit more occluders there. Or not occluders, I guess. They're just control points. So has everyone had a great week so far? Oh, we're almost out of time today as well. We'll just get some of these normal chairs here. Oh, maybe we'll actually we'll change their color here a little bit. Oh, hey, Dominic. We'll make it a bit darker. Not quite that dark, though. Yeah, that'll be good. right. All right, everybody. Well, I think that we're kind of winding down here. I'm going to continue to work on this little area here. I think we'll just do a little bit more finishing touches on this floor. But what a cool map we've started here. Does anybody have any questions, or is there anything that I can explain further before we kind of head out? That Dominic's always got something up his sleeve. You know, we should actually come back down here and do a little bit on this stuff. Make it fit in with the other stuff a little bit more. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks. Oh yes, Fable Dice tonight at 9. Make sure you guys, if you're around, check that out. Only 15 more levels to go. I think we got a lot to do just on this level. I think what we'll do is we'll build some interior walls, and we'll finish this up next week as well. We'll do some interior walls here and create some more stuff. Maybe do some barracks on this level. Do a little bit more like kitchen area stuff over here. We'll do all the different things that you might find, plates and whatnot. And then we can do some more levels. And the great thing about the way that this works is that if we go, for example, we can go into our little level down here. And if we go to our line of sight tab, we can automatically generate our line of sight. Now, it's going to grab this stuff too. So if we don't want to do that, we can actually go into this layer. But if we go over into our painting tab, we can just select this one element. And then we can duplicate selection as walls. And so when we jump over, we just have the one. You can see that it's not connected there. But that's okay, because what we're actually going to do is put in a door there. So you can, if you have a lot of different stuff going on, you don't have to duplicate everything. You can actually kind of mix and match. And now the way that it works, we can just take our door and we have our little trim occluders set up here. So we can just jump right in here and do our door, and that's going to trim that for us perfectly. Yeah, that sounds great, Drake. Should definitely do that. All right, guys. Well, do you have any other questions, or is that we'll call it here for today? And I'll actually grab this wall layer and just drop it right into this right there. Yeah, that's where we want it. Yeah, take care, everybody. Thank you again for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. It was a fun map. Great ideas, everyone. And we'll finish it up next time and continue on. Um, so, everyone, have a great weekend. Have a great week.